So once again, welcome all of you to this special webinar that we are conducting, which is on digital marketing yearly planning. Often we do not talk about these things. These things are taken for granted, but it does not happen by default. It requires a lot of planning. It requires a lot of structural thinking, a lot of templating, and a lot of discipline. As in, normally creative people from marketing background, we want to be in that mess where we are enjoying that mess because it gives you that creative kick as well. It gives you the kick of uncertainty, various levels. So yeah, yearly planning is a relatively difficult job for a lot of people, not because of the complexity it has, but because it reduces that pleasure of being in that chaos and creating more stuff. But yes, when you need to create success and when you need to produce result, your passion, creativity can take you to a certain level, but discipline has to put in in that picture. Else your passion and creativity can become a liability rather than an asset. So I always say that there are certain things that will take you to a one orbit, but later that if you continue that as your primary source of drive, then it will become a liability for you. You need to balance with other requirements as well. And today, that's exactly what we'll be looking at. So passion, creativity, etc. should not become your liability, but it should remain asset by taking the discipline as a core part of your job, and then adding passion and creativity as a part of your strength rather than as a weakness. If you have a lot of passion, if you have a lot of creativity, if you enjoy all of those things but are not disciplined and planned, there is a chance that all of this thing is not giving the result that you are desiring, and thus all of this thing is, instead of an asset, it is becoming a liability. Okay, so let's get started and let's get to the meat of it. All right, so why planning is talked about today, why not yesterday? In the past, in digital marketing, planning for a year was practically very difficult. It was not easy. The reason, everyone was exploring it. The past data was not consistent. There was so many changes that were happening. Because of that, the data in itself was not reliable to take the decision for the future, and so many changes were happening in the industry and in channels, etc. So it becomes very difficult for you to plan, and thus most of the time digital marketing was monthly planning. Some people had an overview of quarter and a year, but primarily it was driven by monthly planning, weekly kind of a discussions and etc. But very rarely we had a 1 year view and a 5 year view and a 3 year view because of various reasons. But today, let's also do a quick check. How many of you have a yearly view of your digital marketing or yearly plan? How many of you don't have? If you don't have, you can say no. If you have, you can say yes. If you have partial, you can say partial as well. And I'm sure most of us will fall under the partial bucket altogether. Can we take 1 minute and just participate? All right. No, partial, no. Okay. So I have got one yes, and most of it is partial or no. Okay, fair. And even people like us who are there in that industry for many years, we are also probably in that partial stage, not completely there. Some of the projects have very detailed planning, and some of the projects are still in that partial mode where we are going after people and saying that no, that is not possible. You'll have to have a yearly view. So let's look into that. And as I said, it was not a wrong thing not having a plan till yesterday, but it is absolutely a wrong thing if you don't have a plan for tomorrow, because of these reasons that we have enough data from the past. Things are more or less stabilized. The terminology, the broad base is more or less stable. It is not changing that frequently. You have a better understanding of digital framework and business, the connection between, how digital works with business. All of those things are relatively stabilized. So now it is the right time to create it. If you don't create it, you will have its own negativity in terms of your success rate and etc. So let's go next. So these are three views that you need to have. One view is a broader view, that how in next 3+ years. Why I've kept 3 years is because that's relatively long in today's scenario from digital perspective. Many of the company will have a 5-year view, 10-year view also. Certainly, the far you can see is better. So that is basically your zoom out way, and you're seeing as far as possible. But there you don't have to plan, just have a broader view. That how and we will also share some of the KPIs related and some of the views that you need from a longer perspective. And then for the whole year, you need to have a broader draft. You should know what all you will be doing. You should know, what you will be achieving in a broader sense. And then for a month, quarter, you should have a very detailed plan, almost written in the stone, that this is what you will be executing to get your result. Okay. Both the lead and the lag KPIs will be in the quarters, month, week. Whereas in the year, as well as the next 3 years, you'll have just a broader view. Even you may not have the full KPIs, absolutely fine. But for the whole year, you should have KPIs and you should have a detailed plan. We will share those details one in. Why this is important is you need to go, sometimes when you go detail into one channel or one details, you need to zoom out and see whether it is connecting with your longer vision or not. If not, then come back and correct it. So you will always go zoom in and zoom out kind of a scenario, because that will give you a broader picture as well as the macro and micro picture. Both will be clear from this particular area. So that's views. And when you look at from a broader long-term perspective, because your investment and your activities are going to be planned this financial year, whereas your returns will come in the later financial years. Some of those will only get realized in 10 years, in 7 years, in 8 years. For example, if you're doing a brand building exercise, you are reaching out to somebody. Let's take an example that you are reaching out to somebody to buy a car at a brand building level. You're creating awareness. So that does not mean that the person is going to buy the car this year. The person may buy the car in next 10 years. Does that mean all the activity that you have done this year has gone to waste? No, it has done its job. But you can realize the best potential of it if you continue this brand building exercise every year for at least that buying cycle period, which can be 10 years, 20 years, whatever you're looking at. If you are planning to do, then you will get the maximum output of it. That is why we always recommend that if you are a car manufacturer, you should be doing brand building exercise. But if you are a car dealer, you will not have those kind of budgets and focus and campaigns every year to reach out to everybody in that particular locality and that city. So you will not do a brand building exercise from activity perspective. You will do a lead generation exercise, which will have a shorter buying cycle, that every year you will impact certain people, every year you will get something out of it. So because of the buying cycle in itself, your KPIs are going to be very different. So in that, in the longer version, you generally have these areas. One is a brand building, brand pull related activities, SEO and utility related pull activities, and then some level of asset creation level of activity. So these three are from a broad perspective that you will be looking at. When I said have a long view about this branding, SEO, utility and asset related stuff. And in a shorter version, you will have these three, and along with that, you'll also have lead generation, sales, and anything and everything that you can think from the short-term perspective as well. So those things will also come into this particular area from a short-term and long-term perspective. Okay. Now, if you go into overall view that why we are doing everything, what are these areas? So normally, whenever we talk about planning, this is all about starting from that we are standing at A, we want to go to B in a certain time period. And in a yearly planning, the time period is decided as 1 year, right? So in that 1 year, we want to go and reach somewhere so that we can say this was a successful journey for us. So we should know where we stand, that is the A point, and we should know where we are going, that is the B point. And within this 1 year, if we are able to reach, then we should call ourselves as a success, because there is no ultimate success, but defined success, that if you are able to reach these areas, then we can call ourselves as success. Okay, so that is the overall stuff. But how do you reach there? There will be a lot of thinking planning, etc. That will be the strategy part of it. So I'll show in the next slide that what are the strategies, just a broader view perspective, those components of the strategy. We have taken many sessions on strategy, so you can go through full funnel strategy, full funnel KPIs, and all of those areas. But that strategy is where you're deciding where, from where you want to go to, from A to B, how will you go? Looking at all of those components, thinking, planning, thinking broadly about it, but you're not planning for it. And then that strategy gets converted to plan. So that is where this yearly plan comes into the picture, that you've thought about a lot of plan strategy, you thought about various activities, but converting that to plan, which then gets into execution. That is a two-dimensional activity which actually produces something. So broader view of where to, going from A to B with all the constraints on all the budget and everything, then thinking about how do I go there, then putting that into a plan and then executing the plan. When you do these things together, the chances of success becomes much higher. But if you miss any of this, that you have not decided where you are today and where you want to go, then success will have very, very variable kind of a feeling. Sometimes you will feel successful, sometimes you will feel that I'm not successful at all, kind of an area. And when you don't have a proper strategy for it, you are, broadly thinking, you may not know that whether you will achieve it or not. When you have a strategy, that also increases the chances of success. But just having the strategy in place does not help you, but strategy has to get converted to plan, and that plan has to get converted to everyday execution. And then only you will get success, along with reviews and dashboarding and all of those kind of an area. Okay. So from a strategy perspective, this is how we look at all of those, and we have taken this session, so I'm not going into it, putting the goals in place, what broader audience will help me in reaching the goals, then understanding that how people buy, do they research, do they impulsively buy, do they buy because of brand recall, then for these areas, identifying the markets which are available, channels which are available, then looking at their whole customer buying cycle, then for all of those things, defining your reach strategy, communication strategy, infrastructure strategy, full funnel KPI. When you put these things, your strategy will become in place. Since today's session is not about strategy, I'm not going into it. So I'm repeating that this is the strategy plan part of it, and then the strategy needs to get converted into plan. Now, what are the components of planning? We need to plan our goals. We need to plan our, I think that there will become, how do you build a long-term digital yearly plan for seasonal product? We will come to it, Sachin. In fact, one or two examples that we have taken. We have taken an example of a yearly product in itself, where you have, a seasonal product where you have certain buying cycles in certain period. You will be able to see that how we can plan for that as well. And that's why yearly, like your view that you're looking at, if in the year itself you have those season there, it is fine. But if you're saying that no, my season does not come in a year, my season comes in 2 years, 3 years. So then you'll have to look at that horizon and plan it, but you'll get the broader picture today that how you can look at that planning perspective. Okay. But within that plan, what you have is you have these 3 buckets, and those buckets are, or 3 components. One is you need to plan for your goals. Then you need to plan for your activities. Then you need to plan for your budget. So sometimes you need to go to and fro, and most of the times you'll have to go to and fro. Like you will plan for a goal, that this is what we want to achieve. Then you will look at the activities and all the planning and etc. And then you'll say we require a lot of budget to achieve this particular goal in this year. Then you will say, no, this much of budget is not available. Only this much budget is available. Then accordingly, your goals will change. Accordingly, your activities will change. Accordingly, your budget will also get impacted. You will do few to and fro iterations, and you will get more or less a stabilized view of what is my yearly goal, what is my yearly activity, what is my yearly budget. And for yearly budget, we have also taken a session last month. That video is also available, and I'll ask Ivy to share those videos also with you if you have not gone through an yearly budgeting. So today we will focus on those, putting those things together. How do we look at goals and activities from a yearly perspective and take it forward? And why we are doing all of those things is, again, the digital marketing is just a part of the business, as in this, end of the day, if digital marketing is not producing the business growth, and there will be a lot of changing dynamics all around with customers, competitors, societies, and etc. So that's why you need to keep looking at all of those areas and finding it that whatever goals that I am taking, is it aligning with the business? Whatever goal I am taking, is it aligning with your overall changing environment or not? Just assuming that this is the right goal that I should be taking, that these are the keywords that I will rank. But if it is not syncing with your overall business and the environment, then you are not contributing enough to the company. And end of the day, company is bigger than marketing, or marketing is bigger than digital marketing. So that hierarchy always need to maintain, because that is the purpose why we are doing anything and everything that we are doing. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we'll go to the spreadsheet. We'll start looking at the spreadsheet, that how the planning looks like and how we will take that up and things like that. Okay. So let's take so the first thing, when we look at the goal part of it, how do we, see the goal? So in the goal, let me make it a little bigger so that all of you can see. Okay. So in the goal, there is one area which is basically how do I generate the sales in this particular year in itself. That becomes one activity altogether, and this sales will come from various activities, and I'll explain some of those activities as well. So those activities will generate leads and sales in this particular year in itself. Apart from this, you will be doing certain activities where some results will come this year, but some results will also come the next years, and so and so. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this recording will also be available for all of you who are attending this for sure. And sometimes we make it public, but this will also be shared with you. Okay. So some of this will be from a long-term perspective, that is your SEO activities and SEO utility creations and all of those things. And you'll also get the spreadsheet. This spreadsheet was already shared with all of you. We have just added few tabs associated with you. We'll again share this spreadsheet as well. No worries on that. Okay. So this SEO or utility investment that you're going to do, so you'll be doing some activities. Some results will come this year and some results will come in the future. Then you will have brand building kind of an activity, which will again have some results this year and something on the others. So some other things like user experience, infrastructure investment, and all of those things can go into those kind of areas. But this is from a goal perspective. You will be looking at what is the goal that I need to achieve in this particular year from sales perspective. What is the goal that I need to achieve from SEO perspective, branding perspective, user experience perspective, and any other goal that you have in mind that I need to achieve for this particular year. That will be a starting point. And then this can be divided into what I can look at from an SEM perspective, that is the bottom of the funnel, what I can look at from the middle of the funnel, what I can look at from the top of the funnel, etc., etc. Those things can be put into the overall goal, that what is the goal that I am going after. So that will be my starting point. Okay. So let's keep it there as a goal kind of an activity. And then again, we will visit this area. Now, then in order to achieve this, like say, for example, I've said, I want to achieve SEO, I want to achieve branding, I want to achieve leads and sales. Then what you will do is you'll go and say, okay, let's look at lead generation and goal generation, and then make a detailed plan, right? Month on month plan. And I think Sachin was asking about, the season, that in which season I will get more and etc. So in one of these equations, let me see where I have added that equation. So here, if you see, this is a seasonal kind of a product where we have said that, okay, this is a season where we are going to spend more, because that is a place where we will be able to get more output out of it. So you will also divide accordingly, So like in this segment that we have taken here, we have some seasonality, but it's not primarily a seasonal kind of a product, but it is a new startup. So this is somewhere like, hypothetically, last year, the first year that of the operation, they have achieved something like around 70-75 lakh rupees revenue. And this year, the target is to reach 2.5 crores revenue. So every time people have complained that we are taking a much bigger budgets and etc. So also speak about SMEs kind of a bucket as well. So we can take this. Okay. Now here, what we have done is we have said every month, what is the sales that we want to achieve is being allocated. And this thinking is very different for different type of projects that we deal with. So somewhere we know that there is a seasonality. There are areas where you will get maximum sales in certain areas. There are areas where you will not get any sales. Let's take an example of apparels, fashions, etc. So there, what we have seen is between the anywhere like September to the December space, you will get 60-70% of the sales. But does that mean I'm going to spend less in the initial months? No, I'm not going to spend on the sales related. I'm not going to push for sales, but most of my spending will be associated with brand building exercise in the starting. So you will, and this is lead and sales. So we will decide on the budget here. Then we will also say what are the sales that we are expecting out. I mean, what is the budget that we are expecting for this? What is the return on investment that we are expecting around it? Then we will divide this into different channels. Then we will also divide this into different all of this different product line that they have. So in that way, you will get a view that, okay, what is it that I want to achieve the whole year and how can I get a view of the goal? Again, let's keep it there from this particular perspective that I'm achieving. In order to achieve that SEM, how do I plan for that SEM kind of an activity? And we'll come to that particular area. So you're getting a view of overall goal, then you're getting a view of how my sales looks like throughout the month. And similarly, the second thing that I want to do is from a brand building exercise. So you will go and you will look into that and say, for my brand building, let's take a yearly view. So in that brand building, what are the things that I'm going to do? Brand building happens primarily in campaign basis, okay, where you are doing a certain campaign where you want to establish a certain message, and then you want to go to a lot of people with a certain frequency, and you reach out to them with the message with those frequency, and you expect people to remember you in a certain way. So that is what brand building exercises are all about. Okay. So here I've taken a very small business which is launching in US. And so what we did is we took that example and said, okay, when you are launching in US and you want to do a brand building exercise, and for that brand building exercise, and this is the first year, I mean, we're just going to launch in in April or May is where we will be launching. So we said we're not going to take more than 500,000 people in US. And 500,000 people will come from a certain city, a certain geography, a mix of geographies, but we're not going to take more than 500,000 people, and we will keep this 500,000 throughout the year. We're not going to change this 500,000 people. That's the only audience that we are going to do reach. And there, in the starting first 2 months, we are going to reach 10 times to them. But this is this 0.5 million people. So we will require a higher budget related to it. Okay. And some people will also come to the website and etc. But in the later months, we're not going to do a brand building exercise because we have or a campaign related things. We're just going to do remarketing. And then our audience, whoever has visited our website, whoever has engaged with us, goes down from 500,000 to 100,000 people. And those people, we will reach out again 10 times, but here the messaging will be different, communication will be different, and we'll try to reach out to them with various kind of things. And this we will continue for another 2-3 months. And then when the season comes up, again, we are going to do another campaign, can be sales oriented campaigns and etc. Again, we are going to reach out to a bigger audience there. And then we will try and improve our funnel. So all these people who have been here, and we were nurturing this funnel because we are not leaving any one of them untouched for this particular period, because we don't have that much kind of a budget to spend. So that is why we said, let's spend lesser budget in this particular area and then again spend more budget. And again, this project is just a validation phase. This is by a very large diamond group, and they want to see whether they can make a success in the US by doing a certain experiment. So that's why we are just experimenting for the first year to see success in a particular region. And then if that is successful, then that will get expanded to all part of India. And we do such kind of validation time to time that is there. So now if you see, this whole branding related activity, you are having major campaigns, you are having minor campaigns, and you are having remarketing, and your social media can become a part of your major campaign, minor campaign, and can also be used as hygiene. So your social media will also play a part in all of those things. So your budget that you are allocating for social media will also come into these particular areas. For example, in this, we said in June, we are going to do a major campaign, which will be there from June, July, and August, because we are going to spend some money in creating this. Then we should run it for 3 months, and then we will not run that campaign for a month or so. And again, there will be a new campaign that will come up, and then there will be a dull period over here. But during that dull period, we will do some small campaigns, minor campaigns related activities. But throughout this period, our remarketing and hygiene related activities will continue. So that is how you're looking at your brand building, overall planning, and your budget allocation also, that how much budget will be required to reach those people. So I've given both this example, where one is you get a budget view and the second one is broad activity view, that what you will be doing. As I said, in the yearly planner, you don't need specification that, exactly how many ads will be running and all of those things. That will come into your quarterly planning and monthly planning if the broader picture is there. So in this, if you get a opportunity, you also fill up, okay, what type of campaigns we will like to do here, what type of campaigns we like to do here, what type of minor campaigns we like to do here. So all of those details can be filled up here. Then you'll have a bigger picture of not only the number of campaigns, but also what campaigns you will be doing. For example, if there is a rainy season starting in June or July in those particular area, just before the rainy season, you will have a campaign related to rainy season. When the winter starts, there will be a winter related campaign. If your collection, if it's apparel, if your collections are coming in, you know what type of campaigns you will be running in those particular time. If it is a B2B kind of a thing, you'll have a financial year, you'll have a year ending, you will have quarters, different quarters that you're going through. All of those plannings will be done. You'll have events that will come into the picture and all of those things. So is that clear? Any query on the branding view? That how do you look at the branding? How do you look at the campaign? How do you see the planning associated with that? Is that clear? Any query on this part? And many of you have asked about this PPT and the recording. So all of those things will be given to you. Even the Excel sheet will be given to you. Don't worry about it. And this Excel sheet was shared in the past. Again, we'll share the link and you can have access to it. Okay. So the idea is to share the thought processes. Of course, we are not, going into those detailings on how exactly our team is, planning for the whole client and etc. Because those sheets are very, very elaborated, and somewhere that is what the team does on a daily basis. But I can certainly give you the broader picture, which you can use for your own companies. And if you ever need any help in viewing it or something on one-on-one basis, we can certainly share some of those things, but certainly we can't share those things in the public as well, because that takes up a lot of time in having those plans. In fact, for all of our sales team, marketing team, we have, 3-year numbers KPI planned, and for 1 year, every month wise, we have numbers associated with that, along with the activities, how many white papers, webinars, etc. Those things are very detailed wise planned so that you can get a view of it. Okay. All right. So if there are no queries, so this is from again, when we come back here, so we have a goals level. So there is a planning that you're doing to how do I generate the leads, and when you're looking at the leads, how many leads can I generate from end of the funnel, like SEM, marketplaces, anything that Google local listing, etc., whatever I can do at a end of the funnel, how many leads can I generate? And again, whenever you're looking at lead calculation, sales calculation, so please look at it. How much of that is coming from your validated areas? Validated means your unit metrics of profitability has been properly calculated. In the last session, we have taken that on how to calculate your full funnel KPI and see the unit metrics profitability. So that if it is there, so now you know that these areas are validated and I can scale up. For example, there are 10 keywords that are profitable for you. You have validated it. You have seen the quality of the lead. You have seen the quality of the sales. You have seen if you're spending $1 into it, how much you are making out of that. So that is validated. Now, all that you have to calculate there is currently my market share is 10%, which also is available on the ad panel. I want to take this to 90% market share. So that means that is the amount of budget. I am 100% sure that this is validated. There can be 10-20% here and there, but I will get consistent result. Now, rest of the things are still not validated. Which is not validated, you are taking a guess that I will achieve this number, but you have no surety of it because it's not validated. So that is why you should be clear, your team should be clear, your management should be clear that how much of that is coming from validated and how much of that is coming from non-validated. Because non-validated, you don't have surety whether you will be able to achieve it or not. In the second area, which is the middle of the funnel, you will be going to the middle of the funnel. You can do a brand building exercise also there because that will have a shorter buying cycle. So you can realize that output in this year itself. So whatever money you're spending in the middle of the funnel will be counted in this year, as well as the ROI will also be counted in this year. And whether it is a brand building exercise or a sales related activity. But when it comes to the top of the funnel, which is like your social media, etc., we have no understanding whether they have requirement this year, next year, or after 10 years. So there, if you're doing a brand building exercise, your budget will go into brand building. But if you're doing knocking of the door, you're just going to people and saying, do you require this? Do you require this? We have this USP. Do you require this? We have this USP. Impulsive sales with few frequency. If you are able to achieve this, then the money that you're spending in those campaigns will be counted in this year and the ROI will also be counted in this particular year. So that is how you plan that if I have to reach, say, whatever 10 crores or 100 crores, how much of that will come from end of the funnel, how much of that will come from middle, how much of that will come from top, and how much of that is validated, how much of that is non-validated. If it is not validated, then all of the planning that you're doing that I will achieve this goal is all assumption. So our request always is that go and validate, improvise till the time it is not validated from a unit metrics perspective. Don't think about scale. Then because all the scale planning is only on Excel sheet, but it is not, those things will not be available to you. As in, you can't guess it whether you will be able to achieve this or not. Okay, so that's a problem. So do you get the idea of, if you have not validated, don't spend so much of money in scaling up. Just spend the money in validating it. And once you have validated, then think about scaling. So even if your business has a much bigger plan that you want to achieve this and they want to give a target to the digital marketing team, but if you have no validation, then one option is that you take the goals and saying, let me target it, but none of this is sure because we don't have any past data that this can be achieved or not. So we're just going to take this as a target and see what we can achieve. On the other side, you can say, let me take 1 or 2 months, create a validation, create a unit metrics in place, and accordingly, I can tell you how much can be surely achieved, what are we struggling, and when can we achieve those areas. So then the mismatch between what you want to achieve and what can be achieved will be lesser. And that has been a problem in digital marketing, that every time we have also taken the clients, we enter into target, we enter into goal and etc., but without any kind of a validation. So initial phases should always be for unit metrics validation, which should be applied for anything that you're doing. I hope this gives you some idea about how do you want to put the planning and budget for your validated and non-validated lead generation sources for you. Okay. Any query on this? No queries? Cool. Okay. Yeah, I've seen some of the queries related to documents and etc. So those I'm ignoring because we have already taken those queries. Okay. So now you know that how I want to look at a lead generation, how I want to look at branding related activity. And similarly, what you can do is you can take the SEO activity and you can say, this is the goal that I'm looking at from an SEO for a month-on-month perspective. What is the plan that I want to put in for this? And in the plan, you will have all of those components, that what type of keyword groups I will be focusing, orbit by orbit and cluster by cluster. And what are these orbit and clusters? So that is something that we can give you a quick brief of. So basically, when you work on SEO, what you do is, for example, here, let me just take an example here. So this is just a sample that we were doing. So here you will have different clusters that you will be looking at. Okay. Or if, for example, here, there will be a multiple clusters that will be there in this, like all of this longer clusters. So that is what we mean by clusters. And for all of those clusters, you will be looking at what is my current market share, what is the total number of click share and traffic impression share that I'm getting. So that is what we meant by orbit and clusters. So you will have certain orbits. So we work when we take it, we say these are the clusters defined into one orbit. That means these are the things that we'll take up first. For example, the easy to rank keywords in certain product level areas, we will take that up and we'll try to rank it faster. And then we'll go to orbit 2 and orbit 3. So this gives you a rather than going to all keywords and everything, you will say at least you will have some level of understanding. Like when you take an e-commerce, we say we will go into product level keywords, we will go into category level keywords, subcategory level keywords, brand related keywords. You will go into those filters that you have within the category. Those things are also there. And now you can take a subcategory of this. Say, for example, if you are selling apparels into this and you're into linen as one of the major fabric, then you will say in all of these categories, we are just going to go for linen plus all of these categories will be my orbit. Then my second orbit will be cotton plus all of this. That will become my second orbit. So that is how you will define orbits and clusters, and accordingly you can do it. And then I need to create content for it. How much content I will be creating? It can be video content, it can be normal, text content, hero content, hub content, hygiene content. All of those things will come into the picture here. And then you will talk about what type of link building that I will be doing, what type of rest of the activities that I'll be doing in terms of signals and all. So again, it will give you a picture of it. So broadly, when you look at it, you know what I want to achieve in a short-term perspective, how I will achieve. And even when I'm working in a long-term areas, what contribution this can do for my this year's sales as well. So whatever I'm investing for long term, maybe 20-30% of that can also be realized for this particular year. And thus I will say in total, what is the goal that I will be able to achieve out of this. So that's from again, all of this you will be going to and fro, like we discussed in this particular area. Goal, budget and activities will be going to and fro. You have a goal, you went into some level of activities, then you started planning for budget, which we explained last time. Again, you come back and see whether it is matching up to the goals that you want, or you want to change the goals based on the budget that you have. That is how you'll do to and fro. So, and there will be other areas, or you can put all of those things together also into one single view, saying that, okay, what are the things that we'll be doing offline? What events will happen? What ATL, BTL, PR activities will happen? So you will have a yearly view. So for example, if some newspaper ads are going to come up in the month of May, so we should plan for our digital marketing along this newspaper advertisement at least from April, so that we are there. And the time the newspaper advertisement comes up, we will also amplify those newspaper advertisement, those campaigns also on digital. Because what a newspaper does or a TV advertisement does, that it adds a lot of trust. Because everybody can put advertisement on digital, but not everybody can put an advertisement on newspaper or TV, because it requires a relatively higher budget to do that. Thus, it brings trust. So whenever you're doing it, you take that advertisement, put it back onto the digital marketing, etc. If you're doing an event, even if less people are coming and attending that event, physical event, you're attending some, shows, etc. You use that as a context. You use that as a trust building exercise. Amplify that on the digital. So, but that has to happen. If an event is happening, you need at least 2 months before planning for that event. Building the base so that more people can come in, and after the event you're going to take the content of that event and take it for 1 more month. So unless you have that view of the whole year, you will not be able to plan it beforehand, and you will not be able to create a good work out of it, and you'll always be struggling. Oh my god, within a week let's create a campaign for this particular event and all, which is not the best that you can do. And then there will be, you can put all of those things that we were discussing in other tabs together to see a one-page view of how the whole planning will look like. So that's a broader template around this. Any query on this broader template that we have mentioned? Okay. So along with this, at what stage should we deep dive into branding, SEO, social media, etc. activity? What revenue stage should we reach first before stepping on these aspects? No, as I said that, one is you are looking from if you are a growing company, you should focus on getting the sales from a short-term perspective, if that is possible in your industry. In some industries, most of the buying happens because of brand recall. So that you will have to do the brand building exercise, then only in the longer run you will get a sales out of it. Otherwise, you will not get a sales. Whereas those are very rare occasions. But if you can get the sales from the bottom of the funnel, you can get sales from a middle of the funnel and top of the funnel. 60, 70, 80% of your effort should go into that. You should not spend time into spending money to build a brand. But in all of those, you need to, keep the brand hygiene, the brand language, everything clear, that whatever you have done in this year, when you repeat it for a few years, you will get the benefit out of it. Okay. And I'll come to what is a funnel. And you said it's an apparel industry, newly set up, less than 1 year. That is absolutely fine. So when you're doing, say in SEO, if you do hygiene SEO, structural SEO, all of those things you should do, because that will have its own impact in the shorter and the long-term perspective, does not require so much of investment. That you should do. But how much money I should be spending on creating content, doing all of those things. So that answer will lie in, if you are spending some money in SEO, when will you get result? Okay. So if you don't get result in this 1 year, are you okay with that? Do you have that much of money to spend, or keep that money aside, that even if that does not give you any result, you should be okay with that? If yes, you can spend that much of money. Okay. So you can spend, like, say, for example, if you say, okay, I'm ready to spend at 20,000 a month on SEO, and total it will become a 2.5-3 lakh rupees in a year, I am okay with that. So that much money I'm keeping it aside and investing on SEO, provided you have a very good end of the market available to you, and that market is validated with PPC. If it is validated with SEM and PPC, then it makes sense to invest into SEO. Then it is okay, you invest into it. But if you say, I want to invest 2.5 lakh rupees monthly on SEO to scale that up, but your total budget is 5 lakh rupees, so that is a disaster in making, because you will not have the cash flow to survive and you will have a struggle. So as a new company, I will say, do the structural SEO, put all of those things in place, and then whichever you can rank very quickly, spend that kind of energy and time into that. And brand building exercise, I'll come to this, that because your buying cycle is within a year, you can convince a person within a year. So what you will do is, you will do a short-term brand building exercise, where your goal is to reach out to few people with multiple frequency and try to get sales out of it, and also do some level of positioning, making them understand what you stand for, and etc. and all of those things. So what's the difference between a brand building campaign and a sales campaign? Is the brand building campaign, the CTA is remember me as this, etc. We are not pushing them towards the sales. And in a sales campaign, you are pushing them towards taking an action towards any of these areas. So now when you do it, if some people have purchased from you, do not leave them there. Do the brand building exercise with them. So your remarketing exercise with your existing customers, those who have purchased first, the first letter that they will get, the time period from their purchase and the delivery of your product, all of those time you utilize for branding. So if you get, say, 1,000 customers in a year, and those 1,000 customers should be gaga about your brand, they should create the word of mouth, and that will build a different level of branding for you, rather than you spending money in creating a brand recall. So again, this whole terminology is derived primarily from those mass medias like TV and radio and etc. But in digital, all of this can be thought about differently. End of the day, each of this does a purpose for your business. Just understand that purpose and use it accordingly. And social media, I will certainly say that use social media as per your customer journey. If the social media is not helping you in sales at all, because anyone who wants to buy from you, they will look at your product and purchase it immediately. and then they don't want to see the piecemeal activity, then don't do it. In your case, social media is very, very critical because it's an apparel industry. So social media, you have two parts. One is advertisement and one is engagement. So use a lot more advertisement rather than thinking about re-engagement using the same content that you get. Because in the initial stage, you will not get re-engagement as much as you will have to get new reach. So use a mix of updates that you're doing and the advertisement to reach the same audience, and your social media post should be very different from social media advertisement so that both are looked at. So if I have to take an example, your social media advertisement will be based on your macro USPs, and social media post can be based on micro features and micro stuff, and also it can be based on some utility engagement related activities as well. Okay, that's broadly that I can say. But of course, happy to add more. Whenever we talk about funnel, we are talking about customer funnel, and we also talk about the market. So in market also has a bottom, middle and top. That's one funnel. And customer also has a funnel: awareness, interest, consideration, purchase, repeat purchase, and reference. So that's the customer journey funnel. Okay. If this is a startup B2B religious tech vertical, should we focus on yearly planning or monthly and quarterly? You should always plan for yearly. You should have this broader picture. It takes some time. It sometimes is very irritating as well that I'm not getting that answer, I'm not getting it. But create this template at least to whatever level you can fill it up. You start getting a view, because like when we are starting our financial year, we have a view of the next financial year, that what we need to achieve. So at least I have a peace of mind that at least I'm clear where I have to go and where I am standing, what are the odds that we have calculated and all of those things. Now our job is not focused on where I have to go. My job is how do I reach there? I know what are the big components that will help me reach there. So what are the things that I need to work on? So many of these things are clear to you. So your job will be more focused towards making sure it is executed right, the quality is coming, the reviews are happening, rather than always saying, okay, where is my goal post? If you keep on changing your goal post, how will your team work with you? That's a difficult job, right? Okay. Yeah. So since we have another 10 minutes left, so this is like broader when you look at the goal and the plan, but it does not stop there. So along with that, what you also do is you take some, like bigger task. We call it as, in the technical terms, you can call it as a big rock. Okay. And when you get time, and in fact, we'll try and see if we can share the video with you. Just search for big rock, Stephen Covey. Okay. Stephen Covey. Okay. Big rock by just search with, I think I've got the spelling right. So just search with this, you will get that video where it is about the big task. Let me give you that, kind of important pointer that what matters to you more and how you should improve it and focus on it. For example, I went to Mumbai this week on your Vistara and came back with Indigo. Now, when I went with Vistara, of course, the leg space is better, the food is better, the seats are better, all of those things are better. And whereas in Indigo, the only thing that they focus on is how do they make money as well as make sure that they are on time. Okay. Now, for the end customers, whatever Vistara is giving, all that matters, but those are not very big components. What is the big component that is there is need to make sure that we are on time, need to make sure that the safety is there, and need to make sure that the basic things are taken care of, and focus on this, make it the best. And then you will be able to see that you are able to achieve better financial and better customer satisfaction, because you are able to achieve two things very importantly. But if you are achieving a lot of things, but those two important things that matters to people are not being achieved properly, then that will also not matter. So that's why what happens is, similarly, when you look at all of the goals that you have, look at those goals and say what are the areas which will have the biggest constraint. Okay. For example, if your team is not in place, if your agency's KPIs are not in place, if you're not putting a review mechanism, if your dashboard is not in place, if all of those things are not in place, then those things will have the biggest impact, right? So those things you will have to plan it. Those are known as big tasks that are required, and plan it. Put that into, this is a sequence like month, week, number of hours that is required for this. What will it have a short-term impact, long-term impact? Based on that, you can decide. So the way we do it is we'll sit and we'll list down all the possible tasks, and then we'll rate it like this. And based on this rating, we will select the most impactful task that we need to do, and then we will put it across to any of this area. Okay, so I can put it any of this like PPT for all services and etc. etc. Okay. Now, when we put this, then there is also a task which is there, which we call it as DMWQ, which is daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, which is repeatedly tasked, and you will put it as a repeatedly task. And I've given a sample of it, that this needs to be repeated monthly, some will be repeated weekly, some will be repeated daily. So those things also, you keep a list of it and delegate it to somebody, which you call it as a stroke of a pen, and give it to somebody over there. So again, from a planning perspective, you have the goals, you have all of this planning, and then it needs to convert into the list of activities. And then some of this list of activities are going to be regular, some will be very big, important kind of an activity. And finally, it needs to lead also to a kind of a calendar for your team, saying, okay, you have all the plans that is there. Say, for example, during 10 to 3, we will take up our task and we will complete our task and we'll work on it. But on a Thursday, 9 to 11 or 9 to 10, we will have a review mechanism. We will do those reviews together for all of those things. So that end of the day, we live our life in a 2-dimension. Every Monday, we come to the office. Every hour we do some activities. So that up to that level, you will have to finally get through, whether you do it, somebody else does it, somebody else reviews it. But if that is not done, then it will all have random things, and your result will also be random. And it's not an easy task, but once you are able to do it, your scale, your predictability, all of those things will be there. So as a summary, I can say you start with a goal overall, then get into these planning under each of this category, that how the planning looks like, put all of those things planning in together, convert some of those important tasks, list down some regular activities that you need to do, list down, put that into a calendar. And then also go back to a previous video where we had shared about all of this budgeting throughout the year, that how do you look at a whole year budget and how do you allocate that budget kind of a thing. So when you do this budget, then between all three, when you do to and fro, you will be able to get a better picture about where I need to go and how I am going to do it, in each of these streams and buckets. And then what is the budget that I require for all of those things. Then there is a higher chance that you will be able to achieve it. So that's a broader template. And unfortunately, within this 1 hour, we cannot go deeper into how much, how do I plan for an infrastructure, or how do I plan for a channel, and etc. I hope the broader picture is clear. But if you need any specification on how do we plan for infrastructure investment, and broadly, last time we had already given you some broad pictures that if you're spending 100 rupees or $100 on overall marketing, what percentage will go into assets, infrastructure, what will go into your tools, maintenance, etc., what will go into media, what will go into creation of advertisement, and etc. So you have a broader picture associated with that. So when you have all of those things available and the plan and the goal, so chances are that you will be able to achieve your success. You will be able to achieve your goals far better. So that's a broader picture. I hope this answers most of your queries, at least gives you a framework to think, and then go through that framework. And maybe we can do a follow-up session to take up all of your questions, where we can provide you some detailing out of it. And on a one-on-one basis, we can also share some of our internal documents, that how detailed we go through in terms of our planning. Yeah, please go ahead, ask the questions. Okay. So this is though not related to this whole session. So I think Digital Samsung, I can't get your name, is asking that why you choose TechShoe name. So in fact, on our website also you will find, just search for why TechShoe. You will be able to get, I think, why TechShoe name. See whether you will be able to, about shoe. You will be able to get the name, that how we came up with this name. What does this mean altogether? Okay, so I worked in a product industry. From product industry, I shifted to service industry, and I saw that how we were working for our own website very differently than we were working for our client's website. So when I saw that difference, I wanted to bridge this, and that's when we were discussing on various names, and this word came in the picture called shoe, which means reciprocity. So we said, whatever we want to do, we want to create technology for others as we would have created for others, or digital for others as we would have done for ourselves. So that has been the philosophy. That is still the philosophy. And we always want to live with that philosophy, that even if the client does not tell us, even if the team does not tell us, can we do things in a way that, it should have been done to us in the similar way, is a philosophy that we want to put in. So one principle that rules our HR and our client relationship and everything is do to others as you would have done for yourself. Create technology for others as you would have done for yourself. That's the whole idea of the company. I hope that gives you some picture of it. Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you, Ganesh. Digital marketing is one of the most difficult jobs because it has so many dimensions, dependency on so many people, etc. And we all have to work and achieve it. And with every passing year, we are trying to become much more organized, much more streamlined in all of our activities. And hopefully in next few years, we will be able to streamline in such a way that the consistency is much higher in rate, maybe almost 90-95%. Right now, most of the digital marketing firms, including, in some part of the work that we do, is random success, not 100% success, or not even close to 70-80%. Unless you reach that 70-80% consistent result, it is not something that you can claim that you are one of the best. And that's what we are doing here. All the spreadsheet, all the recording, everything will be available. If you have any query, again. For stockbroking business, how to achieve lead generation plan. Again, you look at the end of the funnel, the people who are searching for stockbroking related queries. Will you be able to convert those customers? Because there the competition will be with all of your competitors. If you're not able to convert, maybe you will be able to convert certain cities. You will be able to convert certain keywords. For example, if your stockbroking is very good for, say, students, okay, and people are searching for stockbroking for students, maybe you will be able to convert those keywords. But stockbroking for professionals, you will not be able to convert. So look at what you can achieve in the end of the funnel, because the person can take faster decision. Or otherwise, you'll have to go to the middle and the top, where you can do the knocking of the door and saying, this is the USP that we are bringing on the table. If you are interested, try us, and make the barriers simpler for them so that they can start working with you. And through that, you can improve that whole lifetime value of the customer. So that is how the lead generation happens. No shortcuts. And again, I am repeating to all of you, is that there is no shortcut to any of the digital marketing activities. Some of these low-hanging things, you get it very quick, but it is a lot of work to put all of those things in place. And this work can only happen if all the people who are involved works together, puts the frameworks, put the discipline, then you will get consistent result and you will grow your business far better. And without much of unnecessary stress, unnecessary wasting of your time of creating this, creating that, and doing all of those things. You will know exactly what will give the result, and you will focus primarily on this rather than randomly going and doing too many things. Reduce the wastage as much as possible by planning. Okay. Once again, thank you so much for all the episodes.
There was one question just above this by Vineet Agarwal.
Okay. we are into apparel manufacturing business, interested for B2B digital promotion. Will promotion on only social media platforms give result? So, it's difficult to answer in this way, but again, the market is end, middle, and top. So you will have to do a research and find whether there is a market for the middle, the market for end. For example, if you are apparel manufacturer, so there will be keywords in the end of the funnel where people will search for. So for example, if you are doing, you're doing, say, like whatever, shirts. So then people will search for shirts manufacturers, shirt suppliers, etc. Or they will search for shirts in bulk, corporate shirts for broad bulk gifting, etc., etc. There will be various keywords that will be available for the B2B also. So you take up those keywords and look at the end of the funnel, or you go to the social media. But when you go to the B2B social media promotion, then you'll have to go to the right audiences, which will be audiences are defined as decision makers, plus one who can be, senior than them, and they can always stop their decisions. And then you have decision makers minus one who are influencers in the decision makers. So you will do a brand building, or an awareness exercise with them, that this is what we do, this is what is there, and etc. And then try to, whoever is engaging with you, then you try to push some demo activity, sales activity, and saying that talk to us, we can take you through our process and etc. Download our brochure, all of those kind of an area. So you need to create that sequence, and once they are very active with you, even you can shoot them an email, you can do an emailing, and all of those kind of activities. Okay, and in B2B, the steps are a little different than B2C because of the buying cycle in itself, and because of the volume also. So your volumes will be limited. So thus you will have to look at each of them very separately, nurture them. So your MQL generation and SQL generation, marketing qualified lead and SQL qualified, sales qualified lead. So, and in fact for B2B, I don't know whether we have done a session here, but we have done a session which is also available on the YouTube channel. On the B2B, marketing. So you can go through that. You will get a good idea of how we can take the B2B segment separately in terms of discussion. Yeah, all of you will get all the spreadsheets and etc. All right. So we are on time, just 5 minutes more than what we expected. Thank you so much for attending. And I will request all of you to stay, connected with our YouTube channel, because that is where we are updating a lot of things, and we will continue to update a lot more things there. And this, the digital marketing class that we are doing, that also you should look into, and stay connected on this, because that has a lot of interesting. In fact, I don't know whether if I have the opportunity, I can also show you how does this look like. So you get an overview of how does this look like, kind of a thing. Okay, so if you see here, these are, right now we have completed module 1, and within module 1 and module 2, so these are all videos that are available. So you can sign up for free, and then we can add to it. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Vineet, will certainly ask our team to take that up and share more of this detailing and video, so that we can go through it for sure. Okay. All right. I hope that answers most of your queries. Sachin, I hope that also answers your query about the seasonal part of it, because with season, you will divide your budgets accordingly, rather than spreading it evenly every month. So that is how season. But if a season is in 5 years, so you will also spread your budgets accordingly. All right. I hope this added some value to all of you, some dimensions, some frameworks, and we'll keep sharing something or the other on a regular basis. So stay tuned, and let's do excellent digital marketing, which adds value to every business in their growth. That's the whole aim. And keep improving. Nobody is perfect, but keep improving, keep sharing. If you're learning something new, keep sharing with us also. We'll be happy to learn. And in fact, yesterday I attended the Google Partners Summit, and 99% of our conversation was AI and digital marketing, AI and this, AI and that. So everything is shifting to AI. So that is an interesting area to look into that as well. Okay, so soon we will be able to share something about the AI related activities as well. And in fact, on AI, since my screen is shared, so you can see the amount of the products that are there, the research that is going on. So it is massive in terms of what an AI can do for digital marketing. It's a disruption altogether for sure. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Abdul. Highly appreciate your appreciation for all of us, and we'll keep working towards it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And we'll share the video. We'll share the Excel sheet, and we'll share the PPT as well. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. Thank you so much.